Gentlemen, let's broaden our minds.
Hello, Gottadamarung, and good night, my dear friends. Welcome to the Creaks, for it is now called the Creaks.
Due to copyright.
Yes, due to other things being copyrighted. Whoops. Should have checked that out before I got started, really. But oh well, we learned a lesson. Thankfully, no vampire lawyers came through the ceiling and went, "No, we want to take your money," and then counted the money.
Considering what vampires are meant to do, if you did, the only one it was my wallet. I'd be fine with that.
It's actually the count, isn't it? It's one lawsuit, two lawsuits,
Oh, I don't like
three litigation. As always, I am Gruffy, Mr. Adam Nicol, and I am with
James!
Hello, sir.
Hello to you, sir.
And how are you?
Oh, good. It's very good to be back here.
Yes, back in the creaking studio.
Yes, in this dark dungeon that you've got me down.
Oh, it's 2 for 1. Some days he uses recording studio, sometimes it's where I keep the orphans.
The orphans.
You can tell it's not orphan day, there's no potato peels.
It's where I keep the boy. Doesn't he have a name? No.
He is just the boy.
The boy.
As we go.
He's 46. You should stop calling him the boy.
I will call him the boy until his dying day.
He will be called the boy until he has earned the respect of a man.
Until he has earned the respect.
Stop crying, boy!
You will never get a name if you keep this up.
We're joking about this, but there's literally a hammer on the floor, which is quite disconcerting.
There's a hammer and a picture of a dwarf.
Yeah, we're joking about this being some sort of torture room, but I glanced down and just saw this shining black hammer on the floor.
There is not just a hammer, I've also got a bone saw in here somewhere.
Yeah, so I joke about these things, but literally because I'm nervous about them. Let's draw attention to it with humour and hopefully I won't get murdered.
Well, you know, there is my
Clean
meth.
Clean spirits.
Nice little bottle of meths down there.
That's what we're drinking during this.
1 second.
Ooh.
Moorish. It's like popcorn.
Blindness.
It's like popcorn and speed. A little bit Moorish. So, what are we doing today on the Creeks? Today, we are going to be talking about ghosts, the spooky, supernatural, and the paranormal. Mostly, we're going to be doing a bit of an overview and some stories that creep us out, because this is a topic that I think we'll come back to multiple times. If you have listened to the last episodes, you'll realise that that's going to be a thing that's going to happen. We're just going to be hitting topics and then coming back to them again with different things. So it's all quite freeform and quite fun. So with that being said, James, I do believe you're taking the lead on the investigation into ghosts.
Yes, I am indeed. And what I have done is I scoured the greatest resource known to mankind.
Wikipedia.
No.
The font
Actually, I studiously avoided Wikipedia and I trolled myself through some of the most humorless blogs you will ever encounter on the internet, because...
Did they look like they were made on GeoCities?
No, and there were a lot of them, they have a lot of Blogspot blogs, quite nice looking blogs,
okay.
But I need to stress the humorlessness of them. I say it as a throwaway thing, these were some of the most intense people writing about ghosts as I could find.
Just you wait until we hit Bigfoot.
Oh, good lord. I know a little bit of that community. As I consider it, you're the thin end of the wedge of that community for me. So I dread to think how...
Yeah, but the thing is, I find Bigfoot hilarious. I don't want to go out looking for a non-existent beast.
That's until you start researching it and you go, actually, I wouldn't mind doing that.
But yeah, he is an interdimensional being that is made of 6 dimensions.
You can never catch him. My theory of Bigfoot is that everyone who goes hunting him, they find him, but he sleeps with them. And then they never admit they've met him because they don't want it. It's like meeting your heroes.
Brian Blessed once say that if he found the abominable snowman, he'd shag it.
Yes, well, yeah. Right. Brian Blessed. This is wildly off topic, but I've got a theory about Brian Blessed that I want to put to you. Okay. I love Brian Blessed.
Yes.
I think he's an amazing human being. I think he's actually insane and lies about everything. I don't believe he's been up Everest because I heard a story about Brian Blessed. He was in a studio for a recording and this person was like, waiting for the recording got delayed, and they went, Brian, can we get you a coffee? And he was like, it's fine. I don't mind waiting. And he was talking to this runner for ages, and he was talking about how the Russians are going to send him to Mars. Like, he's going to go to Mars because the Russians are going to send him. The runner had to leave the room. Mm-hmm. And he came back into the room, and Brian Blessed was furious. Absolutely incandescent with rage, stamping around the room, swearing to himself, because he's quite a prolific swearer.
Yes, he is.
And he was just absolutely furious. And Brian went, I'm sorry, very sorry. I need to get in the right headspace for the show. I'm very sorry. No, sorry, Brian, what's the matter? And he went, the Russians have just called. They've cancelled the Mars trip. Brian Blessed doesn't own a mobile phone. Mm-hmm. How did the Russians just call, Adam?
Yeah. This sounds familiar, doesn't it?
He's lost his mind. And he said he also was attacked by a polar bear and punched it.
Yeah. But then again, he also said that if one of the dogs, when he was in the Antarctic, came into his tent, he'd had sex with it because it was really, really warm. Does this sound like BPD to you?
It does, yeah. It does sound like a lot like BPD. But it's clearly not negatively impacting on his life. Well, he's a much-loved man.
He is.
But I do think he is radically insane.
Possibly. Or, on the other hand, he's just playing the world's greatest joke.
I could see that as well. Yeah. I like to think that at least he's getting some fun out of it if he is.
I like the idea that Brian Blessed's just set up this giant joke and he's just waiting to see if anyone ever calls him on it.
It's not like Tom Baker, who's just trying to see how much of a low-key monster he can be before anyone calls him on it.
A Loki monster.
He's
just walking around. I am Loki, the god of mischief.
I think he's a trickster god. He's waiting to be discovered. I could go on about. I'm not going to go on about Tom Baker and Brian Blessed
god
for the rest. I read his book, The Boy Who Kicked a Pig.
Yes.
And that told me everything I needed to know about Tom Baker.
It's not pleasant.
It's not. It's surprisingly horrible.
It makes the Wasp Factory seem quite nice. Which is.
I read The Wasp Factory on my honeymoon.
I read it in Paris.
It was
because
what is it about that book and romantic settings?
Well, I was at school at the time. I'm hoping the hell it isn't a romantic setting.
Well,
yeah. Oh, but sir, I'm trying to read my book.
Put the book down, the boy.
I was once the boy.
We've all been the boy.
Especially in Paris with the teacher.
Wasn't the school trip.
It was me and the science teacher. It was really weird.
So, why were we here, sir?
Yeah. Kept giving me wine. It was.
We're doing an experiment, the boy.
The weirdest part was when he just started knocking a meatball across the plate with his nose. It was just odd.
What's the experiment? How much wine makes your trousers come down?
Why does that sound like a really horrible version of Goat Boy?
Goat Boy?
Goat Boy. You must have Goat Boy.
No, you have to tell me Goat Boy.
Goat Boy, you hairy, shaggy thing. Put your legs around Goat Boy's head. Let him wear you like a feed bag.
That's actually foul.
What is that, Goat Boy? That is Goat Boy's flesh wand. What does it do, Goat Boy? It makes a bell ring in your stomach. What does the bell do? Calls Goat Boy to feeding time.
Actually the foulest thing.
Yeah, Goat Boy's disgusting. It's a Bill Hicks routine. He actually got to the point where people were shouting Goat Boy at him. He's like, why? Why do you want to hear this? This is horrible. I want to tell you about nice things when that happened to me when I was on drugs. I don't want to talk to you about Goat Boy.
It's like the reason I can't go, no matter how much my friends tell me to go and see it, because it's amazing, I can't go and see the Beauty and the Beast remake.
Oh god, no.
Because in live action,
yeah, it's a woman having sex with a man buffalo.
What's his dick like?
7, 8 foot.
I'm not even talking about the size. Like, where is it out all the time?
Or does he have lipstick?
He's a dog. Is he like a dog? What animal is he most like?
You know something? I don't know how a buffalo's penis looks. So,
we have got the world's greatest.
To Wikipedia.
Wikipedia.
Buffalo penis. I'm sure that would get you onto a list.
Well, I think this searching what I did. Searching for ghost stories, in the end I did just have to resort to typing ghosts into Google.
Yeah.
Because I tried being specific with my searching. It was horrible. for a drunken laugh, I decided to look at sex ghosts. Don't look at sex ghosts.
No.
Don't look at sex ghosts.
I made the mistake of actually Google searched sexiest ghosts.
Sexy.
And I think that's something that we will touch on at some point, because there are some brilliant stories. My favourite one being about the sex cat. The ghost of a cat that turned up every time this guy, I think it was like 1700, this guy tried to have sex with his wife, and this ghost cat would just appear like, meow. It's like, do you mind? I'm trying to... Why are you transparent, cat? Meow.
I think that's more of a sad story about how feelings of arousal would inspire intense hallucinations.
The blood flowed.
He's telling it as a story of like, I'm getting haunted by this ghost cat that only shows up when I'm trying to have sex with my wife. And it's like, no, you have a brain tumour.
Well, let's disprove these things as we go.
Yes.
Before we get started, there's something I want to share with you.
Oh, yeah.
Because I think I have found the first ghost story.
Mm-hmm.
So in my searches, I found something. And this is a 1st century ghost sighting. Right? It's from 50 AD.
Oh.
Okay? And I think this is...
It's not the ghost of Christ, is it?
Oh, he just got up and like, ooh, I am the Son, the Ghost, and the Father. Well, that's all the Christians not listening anymore. Sorry. But so, the first known recorded true life account, of ghosts were also two of the strangest. Plutarch in the 1st century and Pliny in 50 AD detailed a couple of haunting spirits complete with chains, groans, and accusations of murder. Plutarch told of a home in one community that was so plagued the neighbours that they had to shut up the dwelling, but Pliny had a longer tale. He was described as a young scholar who agreed to take up residence in a home where a ghost was rumoured to haunt. The young man was a stalwart fellow who refused to be intimidated by the dead. He followed the chain-rattling ghost about until he got the story of its murder out of it. He dug under the floor, where the ghost routinely ended its nightly ruminations, and found a bony skeleton wrapped in chains. Proof of the story is told by the ghostly presence. Many people have remarked about how similar Pliny's paranormal account is to modern-day stories. Now, the reason that I found that interesting is because that's the Friday the 13th, isn't it? It's the... it is in the film. That's the beginnings of the ghost story. In the same way that Friday the 13th is the beginnings of the slasher film. You know, in slasher films you've got never have sex, don't do drugs.
Yeah.
And that's because in Friday the 13th, the people who had sex and did drugs were the ones who let her son die, and that's why they died.
Yeah.
This is the beginning of that, isn't it? The
vengeful spirit.
The vengeful spirit and the rattling chains.
It's the I think something we touched on last week, really, in that we were talking about how these things all sort of come from like a way of warning and telling stories.
Yeah, it's the psychological narrative.
Yeah, and it ties into like this type of type because all ghost stories are essentially this. Like all ghost stories, as you say, all slasher movies, but like all ghost stories are exactly this.
Yeah,
slasher movies have some variation to them and things like that, and I think it's because we're better at telling stories now. But all ghost stories are, well, essentially end in a body wrapped in chains, a murder that's gone unsolved, a punishment that needs to happen, things like that. They don't really change, but that also does depend on the ghost.
Yes.
And ghost
as a Western ghost.
Yes.
That is. I think that's the beginning of it.
Actually, I would actually argue not just a Western ghost, but what you mean by ghost, because ghost is a massive catch-all term.
It is.
That includes an exhaustive list of things.
I think you can split it into two, and just leave it at two.
I have sheets of paper that disagree, but yes, what are your two?
So, the Geist and the Gast. Okay?
Oh, you went German on me.
Oh, yes. Yes. So, the Geist would be the poltergeist. It would be the
time ghost.
Yes.
The time ghost.
I've actually forgotten what the word is.
Zeitgeist.
Zeitgeist, time ghost, yeah.
Is that the Germans saying that time is ultimately vengeful?
I think so. I mean, time ravages us all. like a teacher in Paris.
Like a teacher in Paris.
Time comes for us all. Yes,
Geist and Gast.
Geist and Gast. So a geist would be the one that is the poltergeist. It's the thing that can affect people. It's the thing that can play around with surroundings, can move things, touch things, make things be hurt. Whilst the Gast is the memory, the thing that you see that just sad, pitiful thing that goes woogie, woogie, woogie in the night that doesn't actually do anything. It just repeats and repeats and repeats.
A mournful spirit.
Yeah. So it's the memory versus the force. Now, the reason that I've split these into two is because they seem to fall very easily into these two things with the same original starting points. So the Gast, the memory, always seems to be something very bad that's happened, or some kind of big node in history which has caused something to be trapped, if you believe in these type of things. So, for example, the most famous one I can think of off the top of my head is the Roman soldiers in York, where...
The Ninth Legion. Yeah.
So many people have said they've witnessed this. Just assume that I'm taking all this with a pinch of salt, because I'm not going to keep doing that forever.
And you say, I'll disprove this in literally 2 minutes after you've said it.
I'm just getting my idea across. So you've got the memory that's trapped, and people see it, and it just happens again and again and again, in constant repeat. There's no sentience to it. Whilst the Geist always appears to be attached to hormonal changes in a person. So, if you follow the stories of poltergeists and poltergeist activity, there is always two things in common. One being a young child who is about to hit puberty, or is hitting puberty, or a massive upheaval in somebody's life. Those two things always connect with the Geist stories, the poltergeist and whatnot. And I find that fascinating, that if you follow that along a certain line of thought, then there is no actual vengeful spirit, it's the person.
And I said I was going to disprove you on that, but I can actually back you up. I can disprove you on one count and back you up in another. So, this is me being a total history nerd. The Ninth Legion that people said have seen loads of ghosts about and that they disappeared. And they went to Europe and were probably disbanded. Yeah. They were transferred back across to the mainland and were disbanded. So, all those people who said they see the Ninth Legion, massive liars. But,
of course,
about what you were saying around the changes in a person.
Yeah.
Right. I don't believe in ghosts in the slightest. Even though I've been reading a lot about ghosts, I enjoy ghosts.
I think we can all agree that all this stuff we hit is going to be taken with a very large bucket of salt. So we don't need to keep hammering that point.
But as you know, our jobs that we did are very, very stressful.
Yes.
Carry a lot of stress with them. And the other week, someone tried to get into my house at about 2 a.m. And it was very scary. I think it was just a pisshead. Yeah. But at the time, it was very scary. I went down. Someone rattled on my door, much like a ghost. And I went downstairs after. What I did was I sat in bed thinking, it's just someone drunk. They'll go away. But they continued to rattle on my door, and I was doing that thing. I was lying in bed and looking like I was looking at my book because I sit up late reading. Yeah. And I was looking like I was looking at my book, but I was actually looking at my bedroom door, going, it's okay, they're gonna go. But then it woke my wife up, and she went, what's going on downstairs? And I went, I'll go and check. So I folded the page over and I picked up a thing that I keep by the side of the bed in case there's things.
Hang on, is this a certain spike?
It's just a thing I do. I can't name the thing.
All
it's just
right,
a thing.
That's fine.
And I proceeded downstairs and I walked quietly into the living room, and lo and behold, someone was trying the handle on my living room door, and they'd gone from rattling it, and it was opening quite gently. They were gently, and then the handle would stop moving, and I could hear someone probing at the lock. And I stepped towards the door, and I went, hello? And a head bobbed in front of the glass of the door, and I went, mate, I think you've got the wrong house. And the head bobbed out the side of the door, and I kind of released a bit of energy, and then the handle started to go again, and it made the person, me saying, you've got the wrong house, mate, made them try the handle a bit more. So I went upstairs and said, call the police. They came, the person had gone on, they said, the same as me, it was probably drunk. But that made me quite worried at night, because someone tried to get into my house. As low key as it was, that was work stress and everything. I was like, someone tried to get into my bloody house. So anyway, a couple of nights ago, I was sat up again in bed. I couldn't sleep. I turned the light off. I was lying in the dark waiting to go to sleep. And I looked over at the bedroom door again. And the way the shadow was cast, and it's a shadow that's there every night, just the way the light falls in the room, it seemed to move, and if I wasn't focusing on it, if I wasn't concentrating on it, it seemed like it was creeping across the room, and it seemed to have quite a menacing shape. And I was lying in bed thinking, that could be a ghost. That looks really ghostly. That's horrible. And every time I would indulge that thought, the shadow would get darker, and it would spread further across the room, and I'd have to go, don't be daft. And every time I'd and it would just go back to being this small shadow in the room again. Yeah. And I kind of think that if I was the type of person who maybe was more stressed than I am day to day, or tireder, or under the influence of anything, or anything like that, any other contributing factor, I could see that as a ghost. You could easily see that as a ghost. I think that if you are going through, and people, you don't realise that the amount of effect that hormones do have on a body. We kind of acknowledge it, but it is a massive effect they actually do have on the way you think. Yeah. They can hugely train. If you've got a thyroid problem and that releases hormones into your blood, that can change massively. It can make you a paranoid wreck if you have a thyroid problem.
But it's not just hormones either. A lot of infections and stuff as well, they can very much change your behaviour and the way your brain works. I mean, we all basically live on this tiny, just to get really morbid, we basically live in this tiny tightrope of sanity. And it doesn't take a huge amount to knock you off it.
Exactly, and your own body works against you and things like that. So, and I can see easily, but I know there's people who fervently believe in ghosts that will disagree with us in this. They will say, no, they're real, and they would us explaining it away. But I think it does kind of justify thinking there is. I can see why people would earnestly believe in ghosts.
But I also think it's worth saying that, as much as we're saying we don't believe in all that type of thing, to look at a thought, I am open to the idea.
I've got a friend who doesn't believe in ghosts, but he would like it if there was.
Yeah.
Like
that's a very nice way of putting it.
But he'd like it if there was.
If proof was presented to me, unequivocal proof, I would be brilliantly overjoyed.
I actually don't know if I would. Yeah. Because I've said this to my friend.
Because it proves life after death.
It proves life after death. So who's right then? Which path do I have to follow after that? And also, am I going to become a trapped spirit? Am I going to be tethered to my house in Carlisle for the rest of eternity until the sun burns out?
Even then, because you have no physical form, when the sun burns out, you'll just haunt that bit of space where it was.
Oh, if there is an afterlife, I want to transcend.
Can you imagine that?
No,
that would be horrible.
So what, is life after death a constant swirling insanity?
Pretty much. It's just like life before death. But anyhow, that's my theory of the Geist and the Ghast. So,
well,
what have you got for us?
What I've got for you is a list of ghosts.
Okay.
The one I settled on eventually is a blog called Paranormalistics.
Right, I haven't seen that one.
No, it takes ghosts very seriously. Mm-hmm. Takes all things supernatural very seriously. It seems like it's run by a very lovely person who takes things very seriously, but it was the least serious of the very serious, humorless blogs I went through.
You know something? I don't think I should ever do research. I think it should now just be your job to do research, and I'll just remember stuff.
I do,
because the way your eyes are starting to cross, I think is going to be like a thing that I'm going to love. I work with people who like colleagues who believe in ghosts and go and see psychics and stuff, and fair play to them. Yeah. But they're always open to a bit of like good-natured ribbing about it. Yeah.
These people were not. These people would not even entertain the idea that ghosts don't exist. They operated in a starkly black and white realm of there are ghosts. And anyone who says they're not ghosts is probably a ghost. Denying the existence of ghosts.
Are we talking about, like, the paranormal version of Scientology? If you don't believe in ghosts...
You probably are a ghost.
Yeah, you get gang-stalked.
The only people who don't believe in ghosts are ghosts. The only people who say they don't believe in ghosts are ghosts pretending they're not ghosts.
The only people who don't believe in ghosts are the SPs. And they're already dead.
They're already dead. So, we don't care about their opinion. I'm not listening to the opinion of a stupid ghost.
I'm listening to you ghost talking about there being no ghosts.
Talking about ghosts like you know ghosts.
No, not when I'm over here trying to talk to ghosts.
But this blog put together a rather helpful list of ghosts. of the type of ghost. What they classify ghosts, they include, in their what is a ghost, they include ghosts are spirits and hauntings. They are energy entities that are either the energy of a person's soul, and it can be a person or an animal, which is why they think some ghosts are completely aimless. It also makes, when I was talking about the dead horse, so that psychic was right. A horse must have died in there.
I know, he just proved that ridiculous.
With one blog post. They also say that ghosts were once human, just like you and I. I'm reading this verbatim in some cases, so if I read punctuation very literally. So
well, literally. So
literally, as in, like, I don't. If
the ghost came up the stairs, comma.
I don't like adjust for bad punctuation when I'm reading it.
Right. Okay.
If it's bad, you will.
You'll find it.
So
I get the feeling this is going to be some bad punctuation, but go, hit me.
It's believed that you keep your personality characteristics when you die. For example, if you're an evil person in life, you will be the same as a ghost, mean-spirited. Ghosts usually torment the living at haunted locations, feeding off victims and fear energy. The same goes for good people. If you are a loving person in life, you will be a loving ghost. A loving ghost?
Did you know 6 feet under?
You will be. That is clearly thinking of Patrick Swayze.
A bit of Unchained Melody playing in the background. But unfortunately, it's the sequence from Ghostbusters where Ray gets a blowjob.
Is that a living ghost?
My love.
Or is that an evil ghost?
Loving ghost.
A living ghost.
You ever dream in my head? It's just like a guy with like just this medallion just floating.
You're thinking of a very abusively loving ghost.
Well, yeah.
A pimp ghost.
I'm just thinking, flashing back to Paris.
Good spirited ghosts are usually very protective of families that live in haunted locations. Remember, not all ghosts are bad.
No, I can't think of any nice ghost stories I've ever read.
Slimer was a bastard, so he was definitely bad.
Oh, you think he was
That's true. There's never a ghost that is like, oh, we moved into a house and it was haunted, and every night every morning we'd wake up and the house would smell of fresh cut roses, and breakfast would be made, and the coffee would be ready, and my clothes would be neatly laid out. It's always and it kept trying to carry my daughter out of the window and into the fucking roots of the tree.
That's more like a good-natured boggart, isn't it?
A good-natured boggart. Yeah. That's a good way to refer to a friend. Thank you, Charles. You're a good-natured boggart.
Whilst on the other hand, a ghost is usually like, I will kill you and eat your soul.
I'll fuck your eyes.
Rip your eyes.
They also asked the question, for some reason, right, they asked this question twice, and didn't answer it once. Why ghosts are here? I thought I'd read that. Why ghosts are here? There are multiple reasons why ghosts...
Shouldn't it be why are ghosts here?
Why ghosts are here?
Why ghost here?
Why ghost here now? Ghost go.
Ghost stay.
There are multiple reasons why ghosts make themselves known to us, and why they are still here. However, there doesn't have to be a particular reason. Sometimes they just happen. Like living ghosts. There's no reason or rhyme behind the love of a ghost.
I'm sorry, mate. From what I'm taking from this is, the loving ghost is actually your uncle.
My loving uncle. It doesn't...
Loving.
What I like about the living ghost, by the way, is it never at one point it specifies if it's the platonic living ghost.
Well, yeah.
Or the romantically involved ghost.
The biblical sense,
The biblical ghost.
The biblical ghost.
The Holy Ghost.
Yeah.
He's a living ghost. It can happen to anyone at any age and remains a mystery as to why. Latent insanity.
I really wish I'd bought more bigger now.
Crisis apparitions. Which is actually, this is a term I'd never heard in all my... crisis apparition.
Okay.
Crisis apparitions are usually one-time paranormal experience or a psychotic break with reality. So...
There's my future right there.
Yeah, I'm going to have... I'd love to hear a psychologist explain it as he's having a crisis apparition.
Along the lines of, it's fine. She's just possessed.
She's just possessed. She'll clear up in 2 weeks.
Yeah. Just to take 2 liters of vials of holy water a day, you'll be fine.
When a ghost is seen at a time of death by family and friends as a way of saying goodbye or giving important information, don't get in the bath with the toaster. It's dangerous. Well, I don't know why Uncle Charles chose to kill himself. Don't make toast in the bath.
I just wanted some soggy bread.
Saying, for example, you're watching TV in your living room after visiting your mother in the hospital and turn around to see her standing over you and smiling, and then she vanishes. A second later, the phone rings and says she will be dead in 7 days. And when you answer, her doctor tells you she has just passed, and you say, oh, finally, we took her in for extreme constipation. Can I bring her home? No, she's passed. I know, doctor. I understand. Her bowels have cleared. No, well, they have, but only because your mother has died.
She is an ex-mother.
She's an ex-mother.
She's pining for the fjords.
If someone visits you more than once to give you information or comfort, that is a good sign. They have progressed to your self-appointed guardian angel. We will get more in-depth about this in the spirit section. Oh. It sounds like the person who wrote this was quite in-depth in the spirit section.
Yeah.
You know what I mean.
Get the gin down here. At some point, we do have to cover guardian angels, because I have an amazing video and story to show you at some point. But I won't go into it now, but...
That's fine, because...
It's amazing. But...
Because I genuinely would rather cut my own ears off than have someone explain to me about guardian angels. I think it's the one aspect of it where I tap out and I have to go, 9!
Well, back to Germany.
Yeah.
Alright, so I'm going to stop you there.
Yep.
So, they gave a little example. This is going to sound really hippy-dippy, weird and shit, but that's fine by me. Mm-hmm. So, the experience of seeing the spirit of somebody who literally just passes, that is quite a common witnessing. It's something that happens quite often, and people often say it. I would actually say that something does happen there. In the same way that you have twins, who one gets hurt and the other one feels it. This is a thing that has actually been recorded happening. If you extend that idea out, that we're all neurologically connected in some way to people that we are close to, then when somebody passes, there is a slight chance that you are going to know it, and the brain registers that in the only way it can. So you get that split second of seeing a person. Just a theory. Well,
I can agree with... I can see... I do like to entertain that idea, but I always snap out of any sort of theory like that, and it's because despite my happy-go-lucky exterior, I am coldly cynical in some aspects, and especially around the brain, because there's one thing I know about the brain is that you can convince yourself of anything.
Yes.
And deja vu is the one that I always use for this.
Well, it's half the brain is a millisecond behind the other half.
But you are convinced, even if you know that, you are convinced that it happened. And I honestly think people do think they're seeing this. I especially if we're talking about crisis apparitions and seeing someone at the moment they pass.
Yeah.
People are honestly seeing these things. I don't think it's connected. This is just me. I don't think it's connected to their energy passing. I don't think it's something supernatural. I think it's it is because of the intense connection you feel with that person. I think you are convincing yourself of seeing them.
So, let me put this a different way. The brain is a closed circuit.
Yeah.
There is no... you get outside influences, but you don't get an outside physical influence until something...
There's no need for a tinfoil hat.
Exactly. Yeah. So if you're expecting something like this to happen...
Yes, that's what I... that's why,
Yeah. So that's why you'd see it in the same way that the twin thing happens. It's not a... I don't know what the word would be. A psychological twine that runs between... a psychic twine that runs between two people.
So it's a reinforcement of expectation.
Exactly. Yeah. A psychological wall that's being built that all of a sudden comes tumbling down.
Okay, we were saying the same thing, just differently, I think.
Yeah. I was being much more flowery.
Yeah, you were being flowery, just being a cold motherfucker.
You bastard.
But this is another ghosts that are unaware they are dead.
Right.
It
So,
sounds.
in my theory, does this come under Gast or Geist?
I'll tell you what it says, and you think if it's Ghost or Geist.
This sounds like the best quiz in the world.
Ghosts that are unaware they are deceased go about their business as if they are still living. They do not understand they have passed. A great example is the movie The Others. And then...
I was so hoping you were going to say Patrick Swayze's Ghost.
and then it gives a little bit of a blurb about The Others.
IMDb says
5 stars. The ghosts.
Just to stop you there for a second, though. Me and Abby watched Ghost Watch the other night.
Mm-hmm.
It's fantastic even now, 20 years later.
Oh, that's the BBC thing.
Yeah.
I don't think I can ever watch that again because as a child it scared me to actual death.
Yeah, it scared the shit out of me.
Yeah.
Rewatch it.
Oh, mate.
It's worse. Because you keep fucking seeing him. He's in like 12 times.
Oh, the Ghosty man. Yeah. I hate that when they do that in ghost movies. Me and Kate, we watch them. We watch movies again and again. Like sadly, I really love the Paranormal Activity movie, right?
Yeah.
And
first one.
Yeah. And what I do is I watch it for so when I know what I'm looking out for the first time, I scan that movie for any bits that maybe were happening.
Yeah.
Even when they weren't making a point of it happening. There's loads.
Oh, yeah.
Just little tiny things moving that the camera never focuses on. It happens like almost out of shot.
Mm-hmm.
Horrifying film.
And then you get the marked ones, which is absolutely brilliant for the wrong reasons.
Yes, no.
Which is, I've got a gun.
So I watched all of them, and in Paranormal Activity 4, when the witch is taken over, me and my brother used to watch them. He'd come up from London, we'd go watch them together, and we watched the 4th one, and we're like, there's someone needs to kill those fucking witches, and then in the marked ones, when they did, it's such a bad film. Yeah. But when he shoots that witch in the stomach with a shotgun, I mean, him jumped in as he's going, finally! Finally!
Went in the air. That's right, you shoot those witches.
Someone shoot the demon! At last!
My favourite moment in the Paranormal Activity films is I think it's the 3rd one.
I did like the 3rd. I liked the 1980s one.
No, it's the 4th one then.
4th one, yeah.
Where the lass is all freaking out and they give her the things to help her sleep. And the demon lifts her up. And it's just like, shakes her a little bit. Like, well, if you're not playing, I'm not going to do this anymore. Drops her.
What I loved about those films is the casual neck snapping.
Yeah.
I like that everyone who kind of became possessed by demons just snapped necks.
Yeah.
And that was like, cause it was really horrible. Yeah. Everyone just cracking and breaking your bones.
Although I do believe in 2 that the scariest thing in that film is the pool cleaner.
Oh, jumps out of the fucking water.
I keep watching it, it's like, you're up to something, pool cleaner. On to you. It's like haunted by 1,000 dead Indians or something.
Well, I was going to say, it might be full of ghosts that are unaware they are deceased. It's the ghost of a cool pool cleaner inhabiting a mild robot.
Mild robot.
It's not a full robot, it's no Terminator, it's no T-1000. A great example is the movie The Others. Sold it about The Others.
Mm-hmm.
The ghosts portrayed in the movie believe the living the living are the ghosts. Sometimes ghosts can't see the living, but instead feel their presence. This can cause stress on the ghost. As, what's the point in being dead and being a ghost if you can still feel stress? What is the fucking point in that? Sorry.
That is the most horrific thing I've ever heard. Because when you think you shuffle off the mortal coil, that's it.
I can shed all these earthly stresses.
I can relax. I don't have hormones or glands anymore. And then nothing can get to me.
And you just become a personification of stress in other people. That's why they react to. They always say heightened emotions. This can cause stress on the ghost as well as the living, and happens often when people move into the house of a recently deceased person, usually an elderly person, who lived and died alone in the final years, as most people do. The ghost sees the newcomers as invaders, but simply talking to the ghost about their death can help them cross over. That's the most depressing entry in this whole thing.
It really is, isn't it?
Stressed, lonely old woman. There's ghosts, and she thinks that we're the ghosts.
Yeah.
But she's the ghost.
Yeah.
But she thinks we're the ghost, and she can't get anyone on the phone to come and get us out of the house. It's Beetlejuice! Fuck, it's Beetlejuice!
Yeah, it's like some kind of geriatric stressed out version of Beetlejuice. Oh, God. See, I was going to say I'm going to end myself now, but that's pointless.
No, because then you'll end up haunting this house for not knowing you're dead. Maybe that's what's happening now. You don't know that you're dead.
But I left the house. We went to get beers.
Yeah, but maybe you were killed en route.
I walked to Dalston the other day.
Maybe you were killed in Dalston.
I can't do both. I wasn't killed in both.
You might have been hit by a bus. And each bit that you can go along is a bit more where your life force left your body. Ghosts with unfinished business. This is the one we all sort of know. Ghosts with unfinished... Lawyers. Ghosts with unfinished business can linger in this world for numerous reasons. Like a father, making sure his children succeed in life despite his sudden and tragic death.
That is the perfect way of doing it, isn't it? I'm sorry that I died. No, you'll never... Hang on. Isn't that the story of Bill Cosby's ghost dad?
It's ghost dad. Don't think this person's just got the loving ghost. The other is ghost dad.
Yeah, it's ghost.
This is why this blog was so digestible compared to the others, because it was their sole knowledge of ghosts comes from slightly
inexpensive Hollywood ghost movies.
What I reckon with the person who wrote this blog is what they've done is they've categorised all of the ghosts they've seen in films and taken the ghosts they've seen in films as how ghosts...
Have you actually just taken this from IMDb?
No, I don't know. I got it from Paranormalistics, not IMDb. None of this is from IMDb. How dare you would suggest such a thing?
So tell me more about Ghost Dad.
Another example would be of a recently deceased lover making sure their partner finds happiness and moves on. It's Ghost again, Adam. It's Ghost again.
Or The Crow.
That's two mentions of Or The Crow. Do you mean the actual ghost of Brandon Lee?
He's just wandering around.
So, they should have built that into the actual film somehow. Like, broken the fourth wall. Ghosts that are trapped or lost.
Ghostbusters.
I was going to say, as in the television show Lost.
Yeah.
No. These types of ghosts usually know they are dead, but for one reason or another cannot cross over. Yet some may fear moving on because they are going to hell. No, because of the person they were in life. No, I was right. I just say it differently, Dolly, but because of the person they were in life, or they fear leaving what is familiar to them, like Hull. Some ghosts may be trapped in fear and held captive by another ghost or evil spirit, like a murder-suicide haunting.
Yeah, that escalated fast.
The tonal changes in this blog are my favourite thing in the world. Other ghosts may be trapped at a location because an evil spirit or ghost may have drove them to suicide. Dark entities feed off the fear energy of ghosts, and the living, a common example of a lost ghost, could be someone who died abroad and is now trying to find their way home. Like my nan, who died in Tenerife.
Right.
And haunted several BA flights to get home.
I was more thinking, isn't that just Jacob's Ladder?
I've never seen Jacob's Ladder. No, everyone tells me that I would love Jacob's Ladder.
Unfortunately, I think that joke has actually ruined it for you then.
Oh no.
I'm sorry.
Oh, Adam. Does he haunt BA
yeah,
flights back from Tenerife?
He's just like on a Concorde going back and forward. Ooh. Ghosts on a plane.
Ooh.
I'm sick of these motherfucking ghosts on
this
motherfucking
plane. Vengeful ghosts. An example of a vengeful ghost would be if a woman was murdered by a male and now as a ghost only torments or attacks males when they are present at the haunted location. Now, could you get a vengeful, because the earlier in this blog it said that animals could also be ghosts. So could you get a vengeful pheasant or peahen that only haunts male foxes? Because it was killed by a male fox.
See, that's the thing I'm not entirely sure of. Right, so... Bloody hell, that's a giant spike.
Was that mine?
No, it was mine. So, from what this lady is saying,
we assume it's a woman, but I actually am quite sure this was a man who wrote this.
I just thought, why am I assuming it's a woman?
In fact, I can remember clearly, it was a bald man with a terrifying goatee.
Why did I think it was a woman?
He looked like a man who would run an institution called Kabbalistics. But in a 2000 AD strip, he looked like he was ripped from the Big Meg.
What was his name? Crolister Owley.
He had massive shoulder pads.
I do apologise. Whoops. So, this person is talking a lot about how there's a sentience that stays behind after death, yeah? Sentience is a very difficult thing to measure in animals.
Mm-hmm.
We assume that most animals have sentience, they just don't have self-awareness as such. Some animals, you can kind of guess at self-awareness, dogs and cats and whatnot. Most animals will do something to, they'll keep themselves alive, mate, feed,
Fuck, fat, kill.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's the name of the next album. It's a smooth jazz album. I'm dressed as a duck. You've completely ruined my train of thought.
I'm sorry.
It's fine, yeah. So, having an animal ghost doesn't quite work when you start thinking about things like pheasants and earthworms. Do you get a ghost of an earthworm?
Well, I don't think you can have an earthworm more than unfinished business. Unless every earthworm's individual goal is to mulch the entire planet.
Yeah,
they die feeling
become
unfulfilled.
the biggest earthworm ever.
The biggest worm.
Have you ever seen Final Fantasy The Spirits Within?
Yes, I have, yes.
Imagine that, but just earthworms. How great would that film be?
My skin literally crawl. I just felt
earthworm coming out and just taking your soul out of you.
No. No more. Oh, that's made me go a bit grim.
What about cockroaches? That's any better.
I'm alright with, as long as it's not a wood louse, I'm alright with it.
Oh god, with the little tiny weird legs that look like some kind of weird pill. Yeah.
Worms and slugs. I'm alright with snails.
Oh god, I never even thought about ghost slugs.
Ghost slugs. I think I'm going to actually give my wife a panic attack. There's a ghost slug in the house. She knew it was there, and it left ectoplasm as well as slug snail everywhere.
There's just these mysterious white lines of goo.
Did you think that some people found slug trails and thought it was ectoplasm?
It's a possibility. It's a very strong.
Do you think there's paranormal researchers that have gone into old mouldy houses and gone, look, ectoplasm, and there's a slug up somewhere on a shelf looking down going, dirty bastard.
Just there with UV lights.
Dirty bastard, that's what I leave everywhere. That's my leavings.
I'm not dead.
Damn
Just
ectoplasm.
looking at it with his like giant eye stalks.
That's my foot imprint.
It's my footprint, you bastard.
Dirty, dirty bastard.
Sorry, so which one were you talking about, sorry?
I was on Vengeful Ghost.
Okay, sorry.
I think the example they've given for Vengeful Ghost is weirdly specific. Like, this man who wrote this is haunted by a woman he murdered.
Possibly.
I've not said his name, so I can accuse him of as many crimes as I want.
It is sounding a little bit like the sequel to the film Basic Instinct, or possibly Fatal Attraction.
Yeah. I'm interested in this bit, actually.
Hang on, isn't this the theme? No, it's not. It's What Lies Beneath, starring Michelle Pfeiffer and Harrison Ford.
Oh, fuck that film. Did he make that in between? He damaged himself. No. Yeah. The production got shut down on something while someone else healed. So he went and made What Lies Beneath.
Yeah.
Terrible.
In like 3 weeks or something.
It would have been great if he played it as Indiana Jones.
Or Han Solo.
You murdered her! I know!
How good would it have been if he played it as the president from Air Force One?
He lives his life like the president from Air Force One. You know he lands planes.
Yeah.
Okay.
He fell out of one once.
He doesn't. He nearly crashed a Boeing 737 trying to get his little one-engine thing in front of it.
Yeah.
Man's an aeronautical menace.
Harrison Ford is the greatest thing in the world. Also, I've discovered a weird thing of the older Harrison Ford gets and the older my dad gets, the more they're starting to look the same.
That's a very good... That's the biggest compliment I think anyone can ever pay their own dad.
Oh yeah, it's kind of freaky though at times. It's like, where's my father at? Oh, Harrison Ford's at the bar. Who else is in?
Arnold Schwarzenegger in a ghost film.
He did a really good zombie film.
Oh, you were telling me about it. I'd like to see that, yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, the zombies and ghosts, that's a different paradigm altogether. I'd like to see him dealing with, like, a trickster poltergeist.
End of Days?
Like, it would have to be in the same style as Twin...
Fought the Devil?
No, that's the devil again, though. I want him to be a movie, like, in the same vein as, like, Twins or Junior. Specifically Twins or Junior. He's paired with Danny DeVito. They're a pair of paranormal investigators. And it's a poltergeist that's a little girl. And it just wants two daddies.
So
He just wants the loves.
You want to remake Three Men and a Baby.
3 Men and a Baby. The baby's a ghost, and
Right.
the 2 men. And it's 2 men. Because Arnold Schwarzenegger is the size of 2 men.
Yeah, well, I was going to say the 3 men are Schwarzenegger and Vito.
Yeah.
In the same way that...
but they're playing the exact same characters as they were in Junior. So 2 doctors.
In the same way that my whole intention in life is to become the WWE Tag Team Champions.
My goal is to direct this film.
Is it Ghost Dad 2?
Ghost Dad 2. This time without a known rapist.
Yeah.
He's just a gropist.
Ghost Dad 2, no rapist.
No rapist. We promise.
We promise. We did checks.
We checked this time. There's some dodgy stuff about groping a few women in a lift, but it goes no further than that.
The tagline is, we did DBS checks.
Don't, you'll become a ghost.
Oh, jeez. Oh, I can see stars.
That's the other side.
It's calling. It's calling.
Don't go into the light.
Oh, God, I'm sweating. Oh. It's a vengeful spirits.
A vengeful spirit.
I wish I was drinking right now.
Yeah, I do think it's weird how they focused on a woman murdered by a man who just now haunts men.
Yeah.
Like,
it's not the other way around.
But only haunts men at a specific location, so is that a ghast or a geist?
Well, it depends. Does the ghost actually move anything or attack people?
It sounds like it attacks, it torments men.
Yeah, that's a geist.
It's geist, even though it's just...
Geist would be physical movement. Ghast would be memory moving.
Could you have a vengeful memory moving?
Yeah, you have vengeful memory moving. You know, something that screams and shouts and makes noise, but doesn't actually interact with this environment.
Okay, well, you could have a vengeful ghast that...
Yeah, I mean, you're lying in bed at night and all of a sudden this woman just walks right through your bed just going, "Fucking what?"
I think you'd get used to that. I think if you couldn't get rid of it, like, something moving your shit around, like, it would be furious.
You're actually moving your shit. Just taking it out of the toilet and just waving it in front of you.
Yeah, that would be like, that's too far! If it went from moving my keys and, like, throwing cups across the room and that wasn't getting to me, and then it literally picked a piece of shit out of the toilet and brought it to me. I go, too far! You've gone too far!
Oh, I'm getting an exorcist in now.
That's it! I'm fine with the cups! I'm fine with knives and shit flying everywhere, but you bring actual feces into... You're a disgusting animal! Get out! I'm on it! Geist or ghast, fuck off!
As you sleep, he just dabs a poo moustache onto your face.
Motherfucker! I think I'd put it with the mischief. I'd put it with the mournful spirit. I'd be fine with that. I'd be like, anyone you brought to your house, you'd be like, if you're staying over tonight, just to warn him, 12 o'clock tonight, a headless woman carrying her head and streaking will walk through the living room. Just ignore her. She won't touch you. It's a bit weird at first. She's loud. I give her that. It might disturb your sleep. But
here's me earplugs. Yeah.
You can sleep through it. But if you had a house with a poltergeist in, like, you might be sexually interfered with.
I'm going down a whole new level with this.
He's escalated things to a degree that I'm not comfortable with. It was fine. It was fine when he was just moving my keys around, but the other night I woke up and something was manipulating my penis. It wasn't me.
There was just two ghostly fingers in my rectum.
It was just flapping it from side to side. It was quite horrifying. So if that happens to you tonight, it's not me. I can't turn myself invisible.
I think you're protesting too hard.
It's the poltergeist.
I'm actually just going to get a taxi home. That's alright.
No, stay. Sorry, it's stay.
No,
honestly, it's
absolutely fine. It's only going to cost me 50 quid to get home.
That's 50 quid? No, come on, stay. It's just going to touch your penis a little bit. He might not even do that. Just
open up the door and it's like screaming skull face.
Oh, ignore that. You know, why did you buy this house? It was cheap.
Yeah, how cheap was it?
Oh, fucking very.
But I'm actually thinking about this in a different way, where it's more of it's not an angry poltergeist. It's just a bit of a dick. So it's the type of one that just shaves half your head, or like.
Oh, I had my eyebrow shaved off once, and someone did that to my head.
like, draws stuff onto your face when you're asleep, so you just wake up with a picture of a cock on your head. You know, it's like some kind of frat boy that died early.
Oh no, that's an actual one. Won't in your jam.
That would be so much worse than, like, cups being thrown.
Yeah, it's just
keep waking up and your hands in, like,
pranks.
cold water.
Do you reckon anyone's ever tried to use the... Why do you have all these indecent images on your computer? Who's the poltergeist?
Ghost. Michael Jackson's Ghost just haunts me for some reason.
I'm haunted by Gary Glitter's ghost. He's not dead! He's not dead! Ah! He fell at the first fence! It's Jimmy Savile's ghost! There's not a priest in the land that can get rid of that!
You're Savile's Ghost.
Okay.
Why does it sound like a CBB series? Savile's Ghost.
It's the last thing that CBBC plays at night before they turn off for the remember, be good, or I'll visit.
I was thinking it's the last thing that CBBC ever play. Due to our fascist government, CBBC will be going off the air now.
So, good night, children.
So here is something that we never thought we'd ever make.
So what did they do? Cost £2 million then. It was someone's passion piece, if you know that.
Jimmy Savile's.
He left this in his will.
It's Rolf Harris's last role.
I go off and something. Rolf Harris. I'll keep this short.
Yeah.
Rolf Harris. Do you know what he did?
Mm-hmm.
He wrote a song about the women that made accusations against him.
You're kidding me.
No, it is the single insanest piece of writing you'll ever believe. It's like, cold-hearted bitch. She lied and tried to suck money from my blood.
Is he playing on the wobble board?
Well, whatever he can get in prison, I imagine. But he wrote it in prison and posted it to his wife, who, for whatever reason, is still in touch with him.
Yeah.
But it's insane. It is like, it's completely unrepentant, and it's like the angriest song you'll ever read. It's like
some kind of weird, happy, well, not happy, but like a weird punk song that's...
I was going to say, it has the same energy as a fucking Crass song. Like, smash that state! Smash that state!
A bit of discharge meets the vibrators.
It's really foul. And there's this really evil part of me that prays for its release.
Trying to get number one for Christmas.
When he is released, I hope he releases that song, and then I hope he is immediately sued. I hope he is immediately sued into non-existence. But I'll leave that there.
But speaking of non-existence, ghosts.
Ghosts. Hungry Ghost. Hungry Ghost is the next one.
A hungry ghost?
Yeah.
This is Pac-Man.
No, the ghosts there. The ghosts in Pac-Man don't eat anything.
That's true.
Pac-Man is a bizarre, overeating ghost hunter.
Yeah.
I had a weird dream about Pac-Man. You just brought the memory into it. I had a dream that my brother was killed by falling bricks, and I rang him up to tell him. But I also had a dream that I was Pac-Man in a massive live-action Pac-Man film. But there was no costume. I was just naked, and I was following people dressed in ghost costumes around Carlisle that had been reorganised as a maze, and it was being filmed from a helicopter and broadcast in London on a big screen in Trafalgar Square.
Is this like the weirdest version of the Purge your brain?
Oh, the thing was though, I woke up fully convinced it had happened. It's like I don't dream often, but when I do, I always have to check with my wife and reassert reality.
Yeah.
I'm like, am I a dog? It's like, what? Like, seriously, am I a dog? Am I speaking now, or am I barking? And she'll go, well, in one sense, you are barking, but in a very real sense, you are speaking, and I will not realise where I am until I take my first sip of coffee in the morning. It's always that. It's like, no, this is real.
Or I'm thinking there is this Sam Neill in The Mouth of Madness. This is
reality. Fucking love that film. I'll do a shot in that film.
David, tell you my favourite colour was blue.
Do you believe in... Do red Sutter Kane.
You read Sutter Kane.
And kills themselves.
Anyhow.
Hungry ghosts. In Chinese / Hindu Buddhist belief, nice, there's no punctuation in that, hungry ghosts are said to come back to this realm for reasons such as to visit families or old homes. In Taoism religion, hungry ghosts are deceased people that in one way or another did not find everything they needed in the afterlife. These ghosts will come back to feed off victims' fear energy. I was wondering when feeding was going to come into this.
Yeah.
It is believed that leaving offerings of food, drink and money will appease them, so they will leave in peace.
Okay.
It's a nice little twist on ghosts.
Oh.
Sort of. Like, I was thinking...
Were you saying that was Chinese?
Chinese and Hindu and Buddhist as well.
Okay.
So, well, it's like Ghosts with Unfinished Business, but they say the ghosts come to feed off... I like how they sort of explain it, like, oh, we're scared of them. They want us to be scared of them because they feed on the fear.
Yeah.
But if we give them food, they'll leave us alone.
Yeah,
and they'll eat that instead. I kind of like that additional bit to the unfinished. That's how they decide to get rid of them. We will give them an offering.
Yeah.
But it kind of plays into that reverence of ancestors that you get in those sort of regions.
Not just that. It also plays with the lack of ownership that was very heavy in the sort of Eastern... I was going to say Eastern Bloc, that's not right. The sort of Eastern...
There was not much ownership in the Eastern
No,
Bloc.
there was. I mean, when you got to a place that created things like Hinduism and Buddhism, where ownership of something is not a sin as such, but the ownership of something isn't important. That thing can be given up at any point as long as you are fed and clothed.
Yeah.
Fed, clothed and watered. As long as the bare essentials are taken care of. So instead of attacking the place that you live or moving the things
your possessions,
that you own,
it attacks you.
It goes for you. Yeah. The only way to get rid of it is to give something up. In case of the food.
That is very Buddhist.
It is.
It's incredibly Buddhist, isn't it?
But it's something that's ingrained in a lot of the Eastern religions, especially in like the Japanese, moving right the way up into the Himalayas and the Mongolian. So that's very interesting.
I like that. I like this one. Forgive the title. Residual ghosts.
Slugs.
It's like slug ghosts.
Yeah, slugs.
Residual ghosts usually live out their final hours over and over again. Residual ghosts most often show no intelligence or self-awareness. They will go right past or through you without a flinch.
Ghasts.
Okay.
Yeah.
Many believe it was their emotional energy that left an imprint or recording on our dimensional frequency. I forgot there's a bit of this I left out. There's a bit of this I left out at the beginning.
Yep.
A large paragraph of this blog. This is what it said. This is the bit that I left in. I'll just go back to it. It says, we can make things... What are the different types of these entities so we can make these things easier to understand? Let's briefly talk about our universe, dimension, and plane of existence. Let us briefly talk about our universe, dimension, and plane of existence.
That's like saying quantum string theory, here's a beginner's guide.
If we have a better understanding of our surroundings, we can better understand these phenomena and how it's possible for ghosts, spirits, and hauntings to exist in our world. Scientific facts and leading theories are a great place to start. And then I did not print that bit out because it was about 4 or 5 pages of... there was nothing brief about it in this brief, and to be fair, you can't briefly discuss our plane of existence.
No, it's... Quantum theory cannot be brought down into a couple of single passages. Although there is a fantastic theory that uses a hotel as a starting point, which I can't remember who came up with it, but it's a fascinating way of doing it.
You have to show me that.
I will do it sometime. Yeah, the quantum string theory is fascinating. I love it. Love it to bits.
One example would be of someone getting hit by a train on a full moon night. Full moon night. Sorry.
It's a full moon, and you're dressed in a suit of armour.
Your sigil is actually a crescent moon because you are Islamic.
Yeah, and the buttocks have been taken out. You are the full moon night.
You are the full moon night. And now, every time there's a full moon night, the ghost is seen walking the tracks. Sometimes,
this is weirdly specific.
Yeah, I think this person sees all these things and then watches Ghost. I think person spots these ghosts and then to calm down, watches Ghost.
I think this guy needs to start taking his Ritalin more often.
Child ghosts. Or, I think this section was written by Jimmy Savile, as he, I imagine, saw a lot of child ghosts. Child ghosts are the ghosts of children that have passed for one reason or another. Monstrous pedophile. This type of paranormal activity is very sad for obvious reasons, because of the monstrous pedophile. These types of ghosts are usually lonely and seek attention, inadvertently terrifying people, that's like me, by making toys or other objects move. Some believe these ghosts are actually demons in disguise. That's quite a fucking departure. A child ghost is a demon in disguise.
I have noticed that there is a certain escalation in the last sentence.
It could also be hell itself.
Well, the wandering ghost is a spirit that just wanders back and forth. Sometimes makes noises, sometimes doesn't. It will do you no harm. It will just try to replay its final moments on Earth, or in a moment that's important to you. Also, it will rape out your ears and just devour your very soul if you go near it. It will take a giant shit on the floor that you cannot get rid of because it's a ghost shit. It's transparent.
Vanish won't touch it.
You can get as much finish on that, it's not going to work. No domestos can remove the ghost shit.
What I don't like, by the way, as well, is why is there even a category for child ghost? Surely, child spirit, or man spirit, or woman spirit, same rules apply. Like, if you're going to have Gats, poltergeist, you're going to have mournful ghosts, ghosts that don't know they're dead. Surely, it's a variation in the age of the ghost.
Pretty much, yeah. Things will change.
But for some reason...
Is there one in there for old man ghost?
Old man ghost?
Just sits in the corner and complains about when his life was better.
No, that's just a very basic ghost.
Okay.
So, old man ghost, ghost number 1. But, like, also, it can be a demon in disguise.
Yeah.
So you're watching too much Ringu.
Or it's
Grudge.
No, not Grudge. What the hell was it called? I was going to call it The Reckoning, but that's not. The one that it basically ended with the knockoff Freddy Krueger. What the hell was
knockoff Freddy Krueger? Pumpkinhead.
No, it came out a couple of years ago.
It's fucking great. Oh,
not The Conjuring.
Tiptoe through the
Yes.
Yeah, Insidious.
Insidious, yeah.
Do you know what, actually, I'll defend the Insidious movies.
I like Insidious until the point where you see knockoff Freddy Krueger.
I love him. Because he's not even the baddie. He's painted as the big baddie, and he's not it's an old lady ghost, Adam. It's an old lady. Never trust an old lady.
I don't. They're full of wee and cats.
And she's waiting for the mirror. She's waiting in the mirror because she wants to get inside Patrick Wilson. She doesn't want Patrick Wilson inside her. She wants to get inside Patrick Wilson so that she can choke the fucking life out of the psychic. The third one, I've watched them all because I'm sad as fuck. I've watched them all, and the whole thing is, right, spoilers, is that it's all about this old lady ghost and how she wants to choke the very soul out of the psychic woman, which she achieves in the first film, and the other films dictate how this old lady's plan all came to be.
Alright.
The third one, let's say it was alright. Had a wheezing demon that was annoying.
I actually did watch The Conjuring the other night. It's surprisingly good.
Yeah, but I really liked it when I saw it in the cinema, and then I read about that pair of con artists that it's based on.
Yeah.
And it made me upset because I love Patrick Wilson because he's in a lot of these ghost movies that I watch.
Do you not think that Patrick Wilson looks like a man wearing latex to look like somebody else?
Yes,
He's got a fit. He reminds
Have you seen a film where he plays the romantic lead?
No.
There's a film called Little Children where he sort of plays... He plays the...
Plays Jimmy Savile.
Weirdly, the guy who plays Rorschach plays in that film, the guy who plays Rorschach in Watchmen.
Well,
they're both in it with Kate Winslet, and the guy who plays Rorschach plays a pedophile who castrates himself at the end of the film.
Wow.
It's a weird film, but it was weirdly funny.
Okay.
As much as dark as that sounds, it was weirdly funny. But he was the romantic lead in that film.
Mm-hmm.
He was believable.
He's not an ugly man. He just, whenever I see him, he looks like somebody wearing prosthetics to look like someone else. I don't know what it is. He always reminds me of Frost versus Nixon. It's weird. Although saying that though, we did watch The Last Exorcism the other night.
The one in the Deep South?
Yes.
I love that film.
Holy shit.
I fucking love that film.
I wasn't expecting much.
Don't watch the second one.
No,
the second one is pure shit.
We were looking for some kind of film to freak us out, and we found a few. Most of them have been absolute gash, but yeah, it wasn't.
Eli Roth, that film as well.
Was it?
Yeah, Eli Roth directed that.
I want him to do more like that, please.
He's a hit and miss guy.
Yeah, I don't think so. Those. Anyhow.
Yeah, so I could talk about those movies all day. I will say this, there's a DVD coming out soon called The Void. Mm-hmm. Watch the trailer for that when we leave here tonight. Before I leave here tonight, watch The Void. You will fucking love it. I
will show you the one about cockroach fairies.
I'll watch that too. Ghostly sounds and smells.
Okay, so that's just Grandma.
Grandma! Dead horse. Ghostly sounds like knocking, screams, music moaning. There needs to be a comma. And voices are... Music moaning and voices are quite common around haunted locations. These sounds can be residual or intelligent. That's That's intelligent screaming right there.
Yeah.
Knocking.
I think what you're looking for is more like a...
I'm doing this to show that I'm a mad ghost. Knocking. It's an old way of communicating with the dead. Ghosts.
Well, yes, actually.
They do it at seances and stuff.
Yeah. Knock once, knock twice. Because it's the easiest movement of energy. So it's not move something, don't say anything. It's just hitting. It rise and fall. It's a really, really easy transference of energy, which is why I went for knocking.
Is there anybody there?
Fuck off.
Play the opening solo to I Can Feel It in the Air.
I was going
The spirit.
It's like, I like the idea of like in 1820. Play! Come fly with me! Let's fly away.
Spirit! Every seance should just need to...
Play that song from Ghostbusters 2 that everybody knows, but no one knows the name of. Spirit. Some people know.
Oh no! No, as you started, it all came flooding back. No!
No! Play that song that everybody hates. Somebody
No,
wants
stop!
to...
No more! No meme song.
Hey, I think I started that.
A boy copied you.
Yeah.
A boy on the internet who went, I'm covering pink. Somebody... Oh, good damn. Ghostly smells are also a very common occurrence in areas with high levels of paranormal activity. That seems obvious and unnecessary to state.
Yeah.
And they can be residual or intelligent as well. Perfumes, cigar smoke, and food smells are just a few of the scents one may encounter. Beware of fouls...
Perfume, cigar smells, and...
cigar smells and food smells.
So all things that will drift through thin walls quite easily.
Yes.
Okay.
The food smells one is the one that really fucked me up. When I was reading that out there, I was like, yeah, every time someone's cooking in my row of terraced housing, or spirits! My neighbours are going to get sick of spirits! Everyone somewhere has a barbecue.
Yeah, cigar smell will run. It'll go out of a window and into another window quite easily.
Judging by what comes over my neighbour's garden, they're haunted by the ghost of Bob Marley.
Carry on.
So, beware of foul smells, like rotting garbage or sulphurs. To name a few. Foul smells like these could mean dark entities. Demons, or very evil
throw
ghosts.
your fucking garbage out.
Clean your house, motherfucker. Evil ghosts are making themselves known. Can you smell shit? We've just moved. Can you smell shit? We didn't smell... I couldn't smell shit when we moved. Can you smell shit? Yeah, I can smell shit.
She's behind you, there's just a food just being floated around.
You again!
I don't haunt the house, I haunt the person. Ooh.
I like to think this next one... Oh, I was going to say... Animal ghosts. Animal ghosts are the ghosts of deceased animals.
Well, there we go. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Why would you sit down to write that and to tap and just go, yep, job done?
Yeah. I have passed this exam.
What's an animal ghost? It's the ghost of an animal.
Boom, yeah.
But not animal as you mean it. Animal. The gladiator. What's a wolf ghost? It's the ghost of wolf. From Gladiator.
I was thinking it's the ghost of animal. Half of the Legion of Doom. The one who isn't dead.
Fucking hell. Deceased animals and can remain in this world for numerous reasons. Like their human counterparts. Animal spirit guides are different than animal ghosts. Look in the spirit section for more information on spirit guides. We have actually got a spirit section.
I've actually got token spirit guides there.
Token spirit guide. Well, I was going to say about animal ghosts is, it's sort of related. Greyfire is Bobby. I managed to convince a friend of mine when we were all in Edinburgh for my stag weekend. I managed to convince a friend of mine that Greyfire is Bobby was a dog that they hung for biting a child. It turned out they hung the wrong dog.
Did you combine Greyfire's Bobby with the monkey
Pretty much. He was asking about Greyfriars Bobby.
Merseyside? What was he from?
He was asking about
Hartlepool.
Yeah. But he was asking about Greyfriars Bobby, why there was a statue of this dog. And I was like, oh, because it was the wrongful hanging of a dog. So they hung Greyfriars Bobby by the neck till he was dead because he bit a child. But it wasn't him, it was a dog that looked like him. So in his honour, they raised the statue to him.
Well, at least they didn't think he was French.
But I honestly hope he's in Manchester now telling everybody that story. Jill, they hung a dog in Edinburgh!
That's beautiful.
This is a description of me. A living ghost. Living ghosts can be when the soul leaves the body of the still living.
Wait, what?
Living ghosts can be when the soul leaves the body of the still living. Describes me perfectly.
Yeah.
Such as out-of-body experiences, near-death experiences.
NDEs.
I literally thought this said anal projections. This is astral projections. And astral projections. There are some rare cases of people seeing themselves as ghosts at a different age. This can happen if something traumatic took place and a piece of you was left behind or imprinted in some way at some location.
Not as much ghosts as more remote viewing and
PTSD.
Yeah.
Like that.
Well, I mean, NDEs are a weird, fascinating thing that you can look at without ever dipping into the paranormal.
Yes.
At all. So, I mean,
again, it's the weird brain. We know less about the brain than we do about the paranormal, for God's sake.
We know less about the brain than we do about the sea, and we know very little about the sea. Although,
apart from it, it's definitely the Prison of Cthulhu.
Yeah. There was a film that came out a couple of years ago, and I made a joke out of it, and I feel quite guilty about the joke, but I think it's one of my finest moments. The film was called Lucy, and the tagline was, "We only use 8% of our brain."
Yeah.
Now she's using 100%. And I said to a friend, and this is what it's like using only 8% of your brain. As you just collapse over yeah. Because unfortunately we do use 100% of our brain.
Yes, there's no latent psychic part.
We just don't know what, I think 30% of it actually does.
It's long-term storage and things like that. It's like I used to use this in that, like, your eyes are seeing everything all the time. Like, I'm looking at you now, and so all that will stick in my brain is you. But because of the way my eyes and light works, I can actually see this room, every detail of this room.
Yes. Yeah.
But if I was to notice that all at once, I would die because I would have a stroke as my brain struggled to process the massive amounts of information going into it. And what's amazing about this is they did a study recently on people where they gave them, in an MRI scan, pure LSD injected into it. And what it does is it disconnects your eyes from, like, short-term memory, and it puts the visual centres of the brain directly in contact with long-term storage. So you're still seeing stuff because your eyes are still working, and they have to work, so it doesn't make you blind, but your brain is seeing what's in front of you, and it's seeing long-term storage. So every little detail that you've ever taken in with your eyes, which your brain is storing away, it's putting it in there because you're not going to be able to access it perfectly, but it's there. It's in that grey matter for you to access. You'll never be able to get at it. No, it's all there.
Well, I mean,
to build richness to your memories.
You've got the fascinating thing there of when you do access that long-term memory, what you remember from that point forward is never the original memory. You remember it's
your perception of the memory.
Yeah, it's how you remember that memory the last time you accessed it.
Yes,
and I find that amazing. That's fascinating to me.
Well,
that's how memories change, and that's why you got the amazing story of a guy in America. I think he was like 70 or so when he was talking about this. Where when he was a kid, he used to love Coke in a glass bottle, which you drink by the football field.
Yeah,
like the American football. It's not football. I don't even like football. Can't call it football though. It's fucking rugby with armour.
Manbo!
Yeah, bunch of pussies. Play actual fucking rugby, will you? Real sports for men.
It's the most testosterone we've ever been.
I'm an ex-rugby player, so not that you believe it now with my tiny body and my fat gut. But anyhow, so yeah, he always remembered drinking Coke out of the glass bottle. And then, when he was about 40 or so, he was having a conversation about it, and the other guy went, No, you weren't allowed glass bottles. You had to drink it out of a can, or nothing. But because he kept remembering that was the memory that was ingrained.
See,
That's fascinating.
This is why when I do think about childhood memories and stuff like that, and I try and recall stuff, there is a bit of me that's always like, did that actually happen? Like, I forgot about the movie Hollywood Chainsaw Hookers. Right, because I saw it as a kid and it traumatized me, and then I forgot about it. And then, but I would remember it every now and then. I would think, did I invent that? That never happened.
It was only
when I watched it the other week. I was like, I didn't invent this. This was a film. I saw a film, and the whole thing came flooding back. And then I was like, how much of that is true? Like, how much of that is true, and how much is invention? Because I like to tell stories. Like, I like the act of telling a story to people. So how much is that is also invention that I'm aware of and unaware of? It's crazy things like that. But when they did this like LSD study, people were hallucinating, but they weren't inventing things. It was literally just because the two bits of the brain that never come into contact ever were firing neurons between each other. Your vision was being overlaid with things that you've remembered. And think how much shit we look at. Horror movies and images that we've created in our brain when we've been reading books and things like that. Like, so that's why you see you can see horrifying things and amazing things and all that shit. And also, what their brain from long-term storage was firing into that visual centre of the brain was influenced by their mood.
Yeah.
So if they're feeling, well, this is great, man, they were getting all these, the brain was sorting it through. The brain was going, that's a nice image, that's a nice image, that's a nice image, and sending it forward. That's insane. Yeah, brains are amazing.
It was just constantly flicking left rather than right.
Yeah, exactly. Crazy.
Like.
But the brain is I could talk about the brain all day. So, living ghosts... no. Yes, we are living ghosts.
Yes, we are.
We are. These rare type of ghosts can show intelligence and self-awareness. A doppelganger is different because it's an exact copy of yourself. Doppelgangers can be harmless, or omens of death.
Or demons in disguise.
The harmless doppelgangers are oftentimes an unconscious protection of a person's will. The entity is visible to others, but the projector rarely sees it. This is a good thing. Please die quietly, Adam. Because it is believed that when a person witnesses their own doppelganger, it then becomes an omen of their impending death. What? That sounds like something I want to look into. I think that's either something they've pulled entirely out of their own arse, or something very interesting.
Isn't that... That's Celtic, isn't it?
What, if you see a doppelganger, that's your...
If you see yourself, that's the omen of your own death. I'm sure that's...
If that's the case...
If it's either Celtic or Saxon, it's one of the two. The idea that there is like a demon, for want of a better term, that takes your face. And when you see it, it is the omen of your death. It's like the Banshee myth, but a lot more personal.
Why have I not seen that in any films? That sounds a mint thing to do for a scary movie.
I'm sure.
That's brilliant.
I can't remember if it's something like that. It's one of those early medieval myths.
That's really cool though. I like that idea.
Proto-Roman anyhow.
I really like that idea.
So it'd probably be Psy more than anything else.
I like this for the last bit of this title. Ghost vessel, ghost ship, phantom vehicle, or ghostly object.
Ghost Train. The greatest 1980s Saturday morning show ever.
Phantom vehicle.
I want to make that film.
Phantom vehicle.
It's just, what happened to you? The phantom vehicle, man. It's out there. Hunting. It's going to be a shot-for-shot remake of Maximum Overdrive. And it's just going to be all the machines are now ghosts.
Phantom vehicle.
Yeah.
May refer to...
Also the name of my jazz band.
Phantom vehicle.
Hey man, we're phantom vehicle, man. Now for a flute harmonica solo.
Flute harmonica solo. That's the worst band in the world. The flute harmonica solo.
I just struck the flute. Forget about harmonica, man.
It sounds like a dying dog. I'm not kicking a dog to death, I swear. Phantom vehicle may refer to a ghostly or haunted vehicle. Also, for insurance purposes, a vehicle that causes death, injury, or damage without making physical contact. Fuck off! If I can claim insurance for my wife's vehicular manslaughter and I can say a ghost did it, fuck off! Right, I'm reading that again. I'm going to read this literally word for word, and you shout out at the point where it becomes weird, because I have a point where it became increasingly weird for me, but I want to make sure we're on the same line of dialogue.
Okay, yeah.
Phantom vehicle may refer to a ghostly or haunted vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
Also, for insurance purposes.
I'm out.
What's this mean for insurance purposes?
No,
this is a fraudulent claim.
I know what this is. No, this all makes sense. Right? This guy killed a woman with his car. Right? So, that's why he's being haunted by the woman. That's why he never got any insurance from it. Because he said he got haunted by the woman. And now he's regretting it all, so he's trying to make some money back by this blog. That's what's happened here.
And it was the ghost of his lover, who he makes pots with.
Wait a second. Was this written by Ferris Bueller?
Do you know what? I saw a picture of Matthew Broderick getting off a plane.
He killed a man.
I saw a picture of Matthew Broderick.
He killed 2 women, to be honest.
Getting off that doesn't lessen the offence. I saw a picture of him getting off the plane on crutches when he was a young man after having killed those 2 women.
Yeah, he killed 2 women.
Got away with it.
I just want everyone to remember Matthew Broderick killed 2
women.
people.
Killed 2 women, and I hope their ghosts haunt him.
They haunt his car.
Any car he drives.
I don't care how good Ferris Bueller is. He killed 2 people.
Any car he drives. I never faced anything for it, although he could be suffering from deep psychological torment. But it's not enough.
It really isn't.
He got off scot-free.
Yeah. It's like if you heard that Tom Cruise had, skinned a baby, you'd be like, oof. I don't like it, but I expect it. Matthew Broderick.
I wouldn't be surprised to find out that he has killed multiple men.
Oh, yeah. Tom Cruise has killed somebody.
No, he's killed.
There's no way wrong.
John Travolta, too. And I imagine he strangles people with his big, thick hands.
Have you seen The People vs. O.J. Simpson?
No, my wife's watching it while I'm here tonight.
Right, you should watch it just to see how bigger and thicker his hands have got. I swear to you, he has gone through the entirety of the multiverse, killed and devoured every other John Travolta. It's not that he's got fat, it's just his mass has increased. It looks like a fucking wall. It's ridiculous.
Scientology will do that to you, man.
What's he like? All those placentas
what's
you
he
can
like
eat.
now? OT level 9 or something? I don't know.
We are going to have to cover Scientology at some point, I think.
I know, but I don't think we're as powerful as some. We're not Louis Theroux, man.
No.
If they dig stuff up on me, I'm going down. I'm going down. I've killed Adam! I've killed!
They're ghosts.
Ghosts. That's why I wanted to do ghosts. They haunt me.
In the boot of my car.
These type of ghostly phenomena could be due to enormous amounts of human energy or large unsettled insurance claims that had passed through these vehicles when they were in service.
This was written by Matthew Broderick.
And can be disturbing because they are usually connected to tragic events. For example, the time I killed 2 women in Ireland.
Immediately after making Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
For example, a ship carrying thousands of passengers throughout its carrier could store tons of energy, spelt tones of energy, and eventually take on a type of life of its own. There are many reports of ghost ships seen by sailors. Many are apparitions of ships that have sunk. Why does it do that sometimes? Many are apparitions of ships that are sunk.
What he's talking about there is the idea of, there's a word for it, ingrained sentience, where a mass effect has happened that almost permeates the environment. People who have been to a lot of the concentration camps in Germany that they've left open for people to walk around, because the 2 important words are never forget.
Yes.
As much as idiots on the fucking internet will tell you otherwise. Morons.
David, what is his name?
That there is a certain amount of melancholy that comes over you. Now, you can say, yes, that's because you know what you're walking around.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, there is the theory that there is a inheritance in the environment created by so much misery. If you ramp that up to the nth degree as a theory, then something like that kind of can make sense of a spirit or creation carrying on after the physical form has passed on.
Okay.
I'm not going to say that I could 100% trust that one, because if anything like that was going to happen, it would have happened in the concentration camps the pits of unholy misery and the worst humanity has ever got.
I'm more likely to believe it around a location than I am a Ford car.
But that's
a Ford car that's had many careless
a 1962 Dodge Viper.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm with you 100%. But that's the theory he's skirting around on that one.
The next section for this is hauntings. And for this, I'd like to say, the darkness bleeds violet sights, it purges from within. Death, it holds you in its arms and kisses you goodnight. Oh, the darkness comes. Oh, I feel its bite. It purges from within. Oh. And I'll leave it there. No.
The kiss from a rose on the brain.
No, we don't go with Seal. We go with Graves era Misfits.
Oh. Exoskeleton monster. Exoskeleton might. Exoskeleton horror. Exoskeleton. Right. Beware of them.
Beware of them!
Beneath those desert cells, these the man-made monsters.
My favourite of Graves era Misfits, and it's the best song in the world as far as I'm concerned, Saturday Night.
Yes.
And also...
Hang on, am I thinking of the right one?
There's 52 ways to murder anyone.
1 and 2 are the same, but they both work as well.
That's such a fucking good, stupid but amazing lyric. There's a video...
Famous Monsters was a great album.
Oh yeah, I like American Psycho.
Yeah.
There's a great video on YouTube.
It was on American Psycho, wasn't it?
Yeah, there's a great video on YouTube of Michael Graves singing Saturday Night with acoustic guitar. Mm-hmm. Give it a watch. It's quite sad, but it's brilliant because he really over-sings it and it's utterly perfect. Haunting.
At some point we'll do a show about it. Won't be on this feed, but
Misfits, man. A haunting is when paranormal activity has been occurring for a lengthy period of time in a certain
5 films. That's a lengthy period of time as far as I'm concerned.
An area can become haunted for many reasons, not just untimely deaths or tragic accidents. Sometimes a flatmate just won't leave. It seems to be haunting the That's what it is.
Eating your microwave curries. Doesn't pay his side of the rent.
It's like some sort of disgusting poltergeist. It can be said to haunting the area. Sometimes an area can become haunted because it is the favourite place of a person who has passed. People do not have to die at a location for it to be haunted.
How many pawn shops are haunted?
The private shopping car. Oh, I love going there.
Oh, there's just spirits everywhere, man.
If that was the case, though, some people would genuinely haunt the McDonald's. Every shop would be haunted because some people love a shop too much. Yeah. I know girls who are bananas for Topshop, and if they did die suddenly and unfinished business, that is where they would haunt.
They would haunt Topshop.
They would haunt Topshop, especially one of the staff who walks around with like some sort of weird crown on her head, like she's the queen of fashion. She's not. It's my own personal bugbear. Every time I've been dragged into that shop, I see her and think, "Take that crown off your head. You have not earned it."
I'm going to be good. I'm not going to talk about what annoys me about Topshop and Primark at the moment. Fucking Slayer shirts. On the other hand, though,
he's undressing. Adam is undressing. Stop undressing. Is that from Primark?
No. It was from a knockoff Primark shop.
It was from Vimark.
It's something like that. But Metallica Ride the Lightning shirt.
I was more like totally off-put by the fact you just started slowly unbuttoning your shirt to reveal that. A favourite place of a person who has passed. People do not have to die at a location for it to become haunted, and it can technically happen anywhere, like in a cupboard in your house. The architecture of a structure, the minerals in the land, underground springs and other water sources can have a major factor as well. For example, you should never build structures on top of limestone or water tables. That is purely because a sinkhole will open up. That's not because of ghosts. That is because of the structural unsoundness of limestone as a building material.
All it takes is one decent tremor and that's it. Your entire house is gone.
Blaming fucking sinkholes on ghosts. Right, okay, I've just actually read the next one. Because limestone retains energy and water is a conductor of energy, the belief dates back to 5,000 years in ancient China and other areas of the region. And sometimes ancient beliefs can
Yeah,
fuck off.
that's kind of true though. The belief in China is that water can trap a soul. So
does that mean just drowning someone?
Well, yeah, that's why so many. You get so much Chinese mythology about water ghosts and water spirits.
Okay, alright.
So it's like, in fact, you can use the ring.
Oh yeah,
It's Eastern mythology. It's because she died in water. The water kept her soul, and thus.
Oh yeah.
I mean, there's a thing. I can't remember what the hell it's called. There's a beast in Japanese mythology, and the top of its head is missing.
Kappa.
Yes.
Yep.
And it's got the water in its head, and it bounces around and things.
It's a little monkey with a hole. Yeah.
But if it loses the water, it dies. It's
you got to trick it into bowing to you. So
yes.
Yeah. Just bow down, monkey. You try and eat me, and I will smash you with this hammer.
But
do you with this hammer? You bow your head. There's 2 ways we can do this.
I was just going to ballot with "fuck you" written on
There's 2 ways we can do this. The easy way or the hard way. So either you tip that bowl of a bonds over, or I smash it.
Crack you up. But if you look at the sort of proto-Roman and proto-Christianity in this country as well, water was massively influential in mythology. The Lady of the Lake, for example. It was seen as a life giver, a regal thing. So people who drowned were often thought of as being taken rather than dying.
It's like where kelpies and things are.
Exactly, yeah. The kelpie,
yeah.
what's the people who become seals? I can't remember.
Floridians.
There's like in the Highlands of Scotland, there's a myth of a seal people that come up and take you.
Oh, fuck.
But yeah, it's all tied into the same thing, the power of water. In fact, any mythology in any civilization has myths and legends around water. It's just in China, it's got a certain thing. So the eastern area, it's got a certain thing.
Okay.
China, Taiwan, Japan, all that type of place.
Right. Oh, I didn't realise there was that much of a connection to
Yeah.
Oh, that's. I suppose then you can tie that. I bet some people do tie that back to theories of genetic memory and things like that. We all came with a lot, but I reckon it will come down to the fact that some water is safe to drink and some water is not, and
and
we don't know what's underneath.
It's very easy to drown,
exactly,
especially if you're a caveman. Yeah,
exactly. We don't know what is underneath that.
Exactly. Yeah.
Haunted can refer to my face when Adam starts to slowly unbutton his shirt. Haunted can refer to a person, object, or place that has a ghost or spirit attached to it. Haunted objects can be anything from jewellery to an old piano. To an old haunted piano. My old haunted piano. It's haunted by the ghost of Billy Joel. Just plays "We Didn't Start the Fire" again and again and again, no matter how much I ask it to stop.
Weirdly enough, right, when I was doing some research into this, looking at stuff, I found a story, and I left it alone, but it's kind of stuck with me because it's kind of weird. And I'll quickly just blow through it. There was 2 people, and they were on a road. It's like 1977 or so. And they're on a road, they drive on, and the car just conks out. So they get out the cab, and they go over to the only house that they can see. They see lights in the distance. They get over to the house. But everyone's dressed like it's the sort of old Wild West. Mm-hmm. So it's like the later half of the Wild West. So it's not as cowboyish as it would be, but it's kind of that. And okay, this is kind of weird. Party or something. And they notice that there's just a piano going ding 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 ding. No one's playing it. Yeah, so you just think, oh, it's one of those automated ones. But all the women were like, oh no, come with us. So your husband can go over there. Come with us. And then they get the woman upstairs, and the guy gets down and start giving them drinks and start playing cards with him. And it sounds like a time slip story. But as the woman's upstairs, it's like, no, you need to put these on. You need to put these on. Now we need to shave all of your hair off.
Huh?
It's like, and it just becomes like, this is nearly an abduction story. This is really fucking weird. But I'll dig it out and actually we'll talk about it in one of the single story. I think what we're planning on doing is a theme like this, and then we'll do a single story episode, then a theme, then a single story. So we'll come to that one at some point because it is absolutely nuts.
I was enraptured by that. I was absolutely... Yeah, that sounded terrifying just in
description.
description.
It's awful, but it's weird. Yeah. Carry on.
From jewellery to an old piano, and often have an aura in photos. Sometimes it can be a person that's haunted, and not the area. Residual haunting.
Mm-hmm.
An imprint left at a location that repeats itself over and over. Ghast.
Yeah, the ghast idea, yeah.
Residual ghosts usually live out their final hours. Haunted locations. Residual most often show no intelligent or self-awareness, much like many people. They will go right past or through you without flinch. Many believe it was their emotional energy that left an imprint.
That's chavs, yeah.
Intelligent haunting. An intelligent haunting is when paranormal activity interacts with the living and shows some type of intelligence.
Yeah. And
that is all that... Well, actually, I'm going to say that is all that the Paranormalistics blogspot.co.uk if you want to look into more of this.
Yeah.
Ghosts and spirits. As I said, right, so I did get a lot of this from Paranormalistics blogspot.co.uk. Types of ghosts and spirits. It's an occult blog.
Mm-hmm.
It was the least humorless of them.
Yes.
Which is why I mined it for information.
I like the idea that's the least humorous.
What I cut from this is 5 pages about the nature of our dimensions, because it was all the nature of our dimensions in...
Was it quantum string theory as done by Hollywood?
No, it was universe, dimensions, and plane of existence in relation to ghosts.
Right.
It was...
So it wasn't even that there's different vibrational strings moving at different areas.
No, I don't remember.
It was... Yeah, there's different dimensions and each one has a different ghost in it.
It mentioned limbo quite a lot.
Oh, God.
And what I also...
By the way, limbo, stroke purgatory, has been removed from the Catholic Church.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, so all those children can finally go to heaven.
Well, it's, yeah, because they were trying to sell it in Africa. The highest area
Catholic.
of childbirth. Like,
Child death area. I don't want my children to be just left there forever.
Exactly, yeah. So they took a vote and removed it in 2010.
Let's hope that they can accept condom use soon.
Probably not.
But the bit I also cut out was there is a rather lengthy section. So that was just covering ghosts.
Yeah.
As it made clear at the top. Ghosts also includes... I kind of said this briefly at the beginning, that ghost as a term includes everything we've just kind of gone through.
Mm-hmm.
That's the ghost side of the word ghosts.
Yeah.
A lot of people also include spirits. I haven't got everything on spirits because Jesus Christ, we don't have 4 weeks to record this in. And also, some people also include demons and demonic activity under ghosts, and I would like to keep them separate because I think that's a whole other rad area to explore.
Oh, completely.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, what I've got, I was going to do some bits, but I know that we're running a bit short on time here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read you out a couple of things which I found on Reddit. Because I went through Reddit.
You're a braver man than me. I've tried multiple times to get into Reddit, and I genuinely would rather swallow a bullet.
I actually quite enjoy Reddit.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
As long as you know where the path is going to lead, it can be quite an enjoyable experience.
We've spent about an hour talking about how ghosts can be the response.
Actually, an hour and 40 minutes.
An hour and 40 minutes of how ghosts can be maybe an imprint of energy and things like that. When everyone who uses Reddit dies, and the negative energy that is generated by that site, that will be the most haunted place on the internet.
It depends on your beliefs. If you believe in certain things, then the negative energy caused by the internet is actually going to feed the lizard people at the bottom of the earth to rise up and finally take control.
They've already taken control. You've seen Trump's face.
That's not a face. So I found a couple of... basically what I did was I looked through a couple of different threads on Reddit for people's personal ghost stories.
Okay.
I also found some interesting ones from history, but I think we'll come back to these at different times.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to read a few of these out because I think these are the best ones. So this is called The Friendliest Client. And this is from user BreeW45. I'm a mortician. My most disturbing experience was when I was preparing a child for a viewing and I felt someone pull my hair. A couple of minutes later, I heard a giggle and the door slammed shut. All of my machines stopped and it was dead quiet. After I was done and the body was dressed, I felt a tap on my shoulder and warmth around my middle, approximately where a child would stand if they were hugging you. This one is from Angelic4. When I was a kid, my family moved into an apartment where a murder had been committed prior to us living there. Every night, my big sister would make me shut our bedroom window, and when I'd look outside, I would see 3 faces staring back at me. They had no hair, noses, or mouths. They just stare, but never did anything. Well, a few months back, my family was talking about that apartment, and I mentioned the faces. My sister turned to me, shocked, and she said that she'd seen them too, and that's why she'd always asked me to close the window at night. This one is from Christine Stong. A few years ago, I was visiting my brother and his family, who lived in a very old Victorian house. I was snuggling with my niece on a futon in the playroom when suddenly, in the middle of the night, the TV turned on full blast with a static screen. My 3-year-old niece jumped out of bed, ran to the TV, shutting it off. When I asked her how she knew the TV would turn on, she shrugged, saying, they turn it on every night at this time, and then went right back to sleep.
Snuggling with his niece on a futon in the bed.
Yeah. The creepy part of that is not the creepy part of that you think it is.
No, I think that's the protective ghosts.
Yeah. The fast food fright. I was sleeping alone in a room I shared with my 6-year-old sister, but she wasn't home. She had a toy McDonald's cash register. Now, to be honest with you, I don't believe that such a thing ever got sold. Okay. It's just one of those things.
What about your dreams as McDonald's McDonald's employee?
As a guy who knows toys, I don't think this ever got sold. But
I like the idea of you rolling your sleeves up and starting an argument with this man. So, first of all, I'd like to go bullshit.
A McDonald's cash register with a drive-through radio that would play a recording if you pressed a button. I was dozing off when I heard, "Welcome to McDonald's, can I take your order?" from inside our closet. I investigated, took it out the toy box and turned it off before setting it on a shelf where it wouldn't be disturbed. About 20 minutes later, I'm falling asleep and I heard a voice whisper, "I would like a chicken McNuggets, please."
You'll get nothing, you fat son of a bitch.
Hungry ghost. I used to share a paper route. Oh, sorry, this is from Ciel Olongian. I'm probably mispronouncing that. I used to share a paper route with my brothers, and we'd deliver to a lady named Margie. Since she was old and lived alone, one of us would take the paper inside and check on her. One day, I went in and she was asleep on the bed, so I put the paper on the table and left. The next day, she was asleep again, hadn't opened the paper from the day before. The following day, I went in, and Margie was awake. She said she was very happy and gave me a hug. But the next morning, there were cars outside her house. Apparently, Margie had died in her bed 3 or 4 days before. I had spoken to and hugged her about 24 hours earlier, when she was already dead. And the last one is from Stacey JW. When my son was a few months old, I was trying to record his laugh on my phone. I used to bounce him on my knee and say numbers before each bounce. When I played the recording back, you could hear my son laughing as I count 1, 2, 3. After I said 3, you could hear a man's voice clearly say 4. There was nobody in the house and the TV wasn't on. When I played it for my friend, she got goosebumps.
What, the books?
Yeah. Just hand it over.
Oh, that's a really good ghost story. Reminds me, have you ever read Night of the Living Dummy?
Yes. Yes. Yeah, I'm not going to go into the other stuff I've got.
We both got quite insane ghost stories, but I think we should save them for something.
Yeah, I think we'll talk.
Give them a proper.
We'll do a ghost story episode, I think. Just purely as we are getting on for time. Right, so I think we'll close this down now as we're almost at the 2-hour mark.
There's a lot to talk about with ghosts. There always is with ghosts.
Oh yeah,
there was never a chance we were going to bang this out in 10 minutes.
No, that's fair enough. I think it's we'll keep coming back to these things. You know, over time we'll just keep coming back and back and back, and we'll find different themes about ghosts to talk about. So what we're going to do next? Do you fancy doing demonology next?
Yes, demons. Give me demons.
We'll do demons next.
Yeah.
Okay, so the next episode will be about demons, and I think we'll probably start taking listener questions with that episode as well. So listener questions and listener stories. So if you fancy getting in on the action, we'll put up a Facebook group by the time this comes out and whatnot. not. So yes, thank you very much, Mr. James.
Thank you, Adam, for having me.
And we will see you all next time.
Goodbye.
Good night.